Welcome to Prairie Fire Lines, the show where we spark conversations about prescribed fire and its role in conserving Canada's prairie grasslands. I'm Kat Zenz, your host and Communications and Outreach Officer for the Canadian Prairie's Prescribed Fire Exchange. We work with partners across Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba to bring fire back to the land safely, effectively, and with respect for the Indigenous traditions that have guided grassland stewardship for generations. We acknowledge that the prairie provinces that we work on are situated on Treaties 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and the homeland of the Métis. Each episode, you'll hear from people in the fire world about how prescribed fire works, why it matters, and the many ways it helps our prairie ecosystems thrive. So cozy up by the fireplace. This is Prairie Fire Lines, where we keep the conversation burning. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Prairie Fire Lines. I'm your host, Kat Zenz. This episode marks the season finale of the podcast. The show will be back, but when it returns, it may sound a little different. It'll still be the same show, but possibly with a different host. If today ends up the last time you hear from me here, I just want to say thank you for listening. It's been such a joy starting this podcast from scratch and getting to speak with the people who help make fire happen across the prairies. I'm really excited to keep watching the show grow and shine from afar. Today's episode is a special one. I'm joined by two members of the Stuartburn Prescribed Burn Association, the first prescribed burn association established in Canada. President Laura Reeves and Treasurer Dan Rapinda join me to talk about how the association got started, why prescribed burn associations matter, and what it takes to expand programs like this across the country. One quick note, at the time this interview was recorded, Laura Reeves was the Vice President of the Stuartburn Prescribed Burn Association. She has since stepped into the role of President. So with that, please enjoy this special episode and the season finale of Prairie Fire Lines. Hi, good afternoon, you guys. Thank you for coming on the podcast. How are you?
Excellent. Thanks for having us here.
Thank you, Laura. So I'm
Mhm.
here with Laura Reeves and Dan Rapinda of the Stuartburn Prescribed Burn Association. So can you two introduce yourselves even further?
Sure. Yeah, my name's Laura Reeves. I live in Gardenton, Manitoba. I've been here for about 30 years. I'm a botanist. I used to work on the Manitoba Tallgrass Prairie Preserve. I was there for 18 years. And then I started my own business, Prairie Shore Botanicals. And yeah, through that, I run workshops in wild edibles, wilderness skills. I do some private consulting, and I have a native plant nursery.
My name's Dan Rapinda. I'm relatively new to the RM of Stuartburn. My wife and I purchased property, 80 acres in 2022. We built a home for our family here in 2023. So we've got a good mixture or mosaic of forest, pasture, and native tallgrass prairie on our property. And I'm a professional engineer and a business owner. I've been doing that for 25 to 30 years. And I got involved with the SPBA about 2 to 3 months after it was first started up. So I've been helping out with implementation and setting up the SPBA and helping out wherever I can to help us meet our objectives.
Sounds great. So at the SPBA, what are your exact roles and what do you do to contribute to its operation?
Well, I am the vice president, and I take care of a lot of the communications, public relations. I've been helping with grant applications, and yeah, basically helping to ensure we're fulfilling our objectives for our grants and just our SPBA in general. Oh, well, this is totally volunteer. Yeah, I have my own business that I run. I'm also involved in other volunteer initiatives around in this area. So yeah, keeping busy.
I'm currently the treasurer of the SPBA. I have a bookkeeping background with my businesses, so that seemed like a good fit for me and how I could best help our association. But since that time, with things getting busier and be involved with some of the grant projects or the grants that we've received, I've sort of stepped up and I've been helping Laura with implementing our intact grant and trying to help out wherever I can.
And so I know that with this being a volunteer community-run organization, I know you two are only just two of those people who are helping run this organization. Can you talk a bit more about the other members of the SPBA?
Yeah, so we have three other board members. Bert Baumgartner is our president and co-founder. Um, he's basically our equipment specialist. So he has been basically responsible for putting our equipment wish lists together, especially for the grants. We had to know, what kind of equipment we needed, how much of everything would be a good idea. And so he basically did all the online shopping, so to speak, for that. And yeah, we're hoping that he will help us, maintain the equipment and that as we go forward. Um, Nelson Chuby is our secretary. He is an agrologist by profession. And yeah, he's been helping out wherever he can. He's been, helping with presentations, workshops, that sort of thing. And yeah, he's got a lot of energy. Really good. And Cale Cohen is our director at large. And he's got a lot of experience in prescribed fire and wildland firefighting as well. And he's basically said he's willing to help us out wherever he can. So he's been leading up some of our workshops, doing some presentations, especially with regards to burn plans, teaching people how to create a burn plan. And yeah, I guess I should say too, Bert's also got he was volunteer firefighter for many years in a couple of different towns in Manitoba. So he's got that background as well for wildland firefighting.
So that's so great. Can you tell me more about the history of the Stuartburn Prescribed Burn Association and how it started and who exactly was involved in these early stages?
Yeah, so basically this all started with just conversations with neighbors and just we all seem to be expressing a frustration that we couldn't get fire on the land. Like we all have different reasons for burning our land. Um, for us here, we have 240 acres. There's two of us living here, and it's really hard to get fire on 240 acres when there's only two people. We've got aspen encroaching into our meadows. We've got some invasive species we want to take care of. There's a big fire risk, a wildfire risk here because we have no hard boundaries for over a mile in either direction, north and south. So yeah, it's a real risk. We had a large wildfire come through our property back in 2011, and thankfully we weren't living here at the time, but it did burn down the old house and the old barn. So yeah, that was a not very great. So
Hmm.
yeah, we are interested in reducing the risk of um, wildfires and preserving the prairie that we have here. Our neighbors are concerned that their pastures are no longer fit for grazing. The cattle are basically avoiding the pastures that haven't burnt in many years, and they would like to get fire back on the land to rejuvenate those pastures. Neighbors to the north are thinking, they just have a cottage basically, and they're looking at all this dry grass and going, when's our cabin going to burn down? So they would really like to get some prescribed fire out or on the land and just reduce the risk of wildfires. So yeah, so that's how it all started, just like neighbors talking with each other and saying, well, we really need to get something done here. So yeah, in this area, at one point there was family living on every quarter section or almost every quarter section here, but that's not the case anymore. So the combination of fine fuel buildup and not very many people on the land, it's making putting fire down on the land a lot riskier than it used to be. There were a lot of fires here in the past. People were always burning their land or pastures just to rejuvenate them, again, to reduce the risk of wildfires. Some people would do controlled burns, other people would just drop a match and walk away. So, but there were a lot of fires. It was common. It was just a common conversation. Good thing spring is coming. We can finally put a fire down. Yeah. So at one point, there were, like I said, there was a family living on almost every quarter section in this area. But people have moved away, and that's not the case anymore. And so the combination of people not being here and amount of fine fuel that's building up in the area because people aren't putting fire on the land, it's making the potential for damaging wildfires really great, actually. So, yeah, so for the past 5 years, Shared Legacy, which is a partnership between the RM of Stuartburn and Nature Conservancy of Canada, has piloted a program called the Stewardship Credit Program. And this program provides financial incentives for landowners to conserve their land. So it's a results-based initiative that rewards landowners for increasing the conservation value of their land. Basically, the amount of funding they get will increase if they increase the conservation value of their land, and it'll decrease if they do nothing, or maybe they decide to turn it up or they're overgrazing it, their funding will go down. So it is a really great program. What they also had was for first-time participants, they offered a 50% cost share for management activities. So that could have been putting up fencing for cattle, that could be brush mowing, that could be fencing off watering holes or anything like that. Whatever would help to conserve, maybe it's seeding native species or controlling invasive species. There are a lot of things that landowners could do. And I decided to take advantage of this and do some brush mowing because, like I said earlier, our land is filling in with woody encroachment. And in some areas, it's no longer possible to burn it out because it's gotten so big that there's no more fine fuel underneath. There's too much shade to produce for grasses to grow in that. So we took advantage of the cost share, did a bunch of brush mowing, and that's how I met Bert. Bert was the mower operator. And of course, got talking about fire and how it's not on the land anymore. And he mentioned that there's something called a Prescribed Burn Association or something in the States. And he said, maybe I'll look into that. And I said, yes, please do. Let's see what that's all about. So he did. And that's where we decided, you know what, that sounds like something we should really do here is set up a Prescribed Burn Association. So yeah, once we decided on that, it was kind of like this whirlwind of activity. All of a sudden, all these things were happening. We started a Facebook page, and that's where Kale came in. He sent us a message saying, hey, guys, I'm super interested in this, and let me know what I can do to help. So the three of us got together and we invited our Reeve, Michelle Goronsky, over to Bert's place. So we said, hey, we have an idea we'd like to talk about. And so we shared our idea, and she was super excited about it. She thought it was a fantastic idea. And she said, you know what, you need to present this to council. So we became a delegation at the council meeting, and we presented our idea there. And the council was a little maybe reluctant about, landowners, getting together and putting fire on the ground, even though they already were doing it. Yeah, council is now on board, by the way. So they're really excited about this too. But yeah, I don't know don't remember where I heard of it, but I got wind that the federal government was giving away $44 million for wildfire training. And I got wind of it 2 weeks or so before the deadline. So I got talking with Bert and Kale, and like, geez, should we apply for something? Should we get some money, maybe buy some equipment, or what should we do here? And so Bert put a wish list together for $180,000 worth of equipment, including 6x6s, ATVs, all kinds of things. And we applied. We also included training, enough training to train 25 people. So yeah, everything went really fast, and the RM helped us submit the application. And once that was finally done, we had time to sit back and go, oh my God, what have we done? What if we get $180,000? Like, we are super committed now. So yeah, that's basically where it started. So that was in January, February. In March, we decided to introduce the community to our idea. And so we held we called it a community presentation. It was kind of like an open house kind of a thing. People could come and learn about what we were doing. And we had about 15 to 20 people show up. And yeah, most of them signed up for further updates. They wanted to know what we were up to as we were moving along here. And yeah, some people were quite vocal with their frustration as well about, there's a lot of crown land in this area. There's the Manitoba Tallgrass Prairie Preserve, which is about 24,000 acres now. And they're quite concerned that this is a big fire risk, wildfire risk. And they're wishing, the government would do something about it. They would send out crews to do some prescribed fires. They were wishing Nature Conservancy would do more prescribed fires. And I mean, we explained that there's just not the resources. The government doesn't have the resources to do this. Nature Conservancy can only do so much, and they are trying to do as much as they can. And we said, you know what? We really need to take this into our own hands. Landowners need to come together, and we can't rely on other people to do the burning. We have to do it ourselves. Not on the crown land, of course, but on our own lands. If we want to protect our lands, well, maybe we have to put a black line down to protect our own properties. So yeah, that was a good success. We had lots of people sign up. And then in April, Bert, Kale, and I hosted we called it a workshop. It ended up being more like a presentation, but we were basically covered everything you need to know to do a prescribed burn. And we had about 10 to 15 people come out. We used the PowerPoint that the Canadian Prairies Prescribed Fire Exchange had given to us. Yeah, we modified it to make it more relevant to Manitoba. And yeah, 7 of those people became members, which was great. And that actually included Dan and Nelson and became part of our board. So after that, the 5 of us became our board. We had our first planning meeting in June. And yeah, we met a few more times over the year till the end of 2024 and kind of, solidified our goals and prepared for like how are we gonna, work on these goals? How are we going to execute them? Got incorporated soon after that as a nonprofit organization, and we started applying for grants. And after that, things took off.
Thank you for the history, Laura. Oh my gosh, there's so much that went into it. Dan, do you have anything to add from that from your perspective after you joined?
From my perspective, the planning meetings that we did have between June and December of 2024 were, at the time, it didn't seem like we were terribly focused or moving forward. But by the end of it, I discovered when we did start incorporating and applying for grants in early 2025, things just kind of fell into place. We had kind of all of our directors had our roles kind of defined. We're very lucky that with the 5 directors we have, we all come from a fairly diverse background. But our skill sets and our experience are quite complementary to each other. So that's allowed us to be as successful as we have been to date.
Yeah, we went online and we started looking at, different PBAs. We contacted Pheasants Forever to see if they would be interested in helping us. But you know what? There were a lot of online resources that other PBAs had posted We're looking at some of the PBAs in Oklahoma, Woodward County. Some of them had, or one of them, they had posted a handbook for PBAs, like basically protocols, a booklet of protocols, and describing like how did they set up their membership, how much do members pay in, what's their annual fee that they pay to be a member, how much do they pay to have their land burnt, how do they get to have their land burnt? Like, how do you keep people involved in a prescribed burn association? Like, what's stopping people from just becoming a member, getting their land burned and walking away? How do you keep people involved so that they actually help other people to burn their land? So some of these PBAs were saying, okay, well, you know what, you can't have your land burnt until 6 months after you've joined, and you also have to have helped with 2 other burns before your land is burnt. Things like that we were looking at and going, oh, okay, this is really interesting. Some PBAs had landowners pay by the acre to have their land burnt. Um, yeah, there's just different ways of setting things up. So it really was eye-opening for us and gave us lots of ideas. So we're still trying to figure that out exactly how we're going to do that. I think we've got a pretty good idea right now. But I think a lot of it's just going to come out, as we move along and see how things work. And maybe we'll just have to tweak our protocols here and there as we go. But yeah, having those online resources have been really helpful. And we can't say enough about how much Canadian Prairie's Prescribed Fire Exchange has helped us as well. By just giving us those presentations, allowing us to use any of their slides, pictures they've taken at different events, just to get us started and have some visuals to use. It's been, yeah, really good.
Well, for sure. But Stuartburn, like this is basically the first PBA in Canada too. So just starting this in Stuartburn is just such an accomplishment of you guys. And it's really amazing that we could help with that.
There are other groups that have come together. In BC, there are a few groups that have come together and they're working on this very similar thing. They don't call themselves the Prescribed Burn Association, but it's possible that there are other things that are happening that are very similar, if not the same as what we're doing. But yeah, officially, we are the first Prescribed Burn Association in Canada that we know of.
Going more into the specific land you work on. So Stuartburn is based in Tallgrass Prairie. So can you talk more about just generally how prescribed fire affects that ecosystem and what your organization, what the SPBA is specifically doing to help manage the land there?
Yeah, so Stuartburn is located in it's like the transition zone between tallgrass prairie and boreal forest. So we call it the tallgrass prairie aspen parkland ecosystem. So yeah, and of course this area is naturally prone to fires. Um, as I mentioned earlier, it includes the 24,000, that's an estimate, 24,000 acre Manitoba Tallgrass Prairie Preserve. There's a lot of crown land here. And of course, this area was historically prone to fires, recurring fire cycles. The fires were responsible for helping keep woody encroachment at bay. They also stimulate plant growth, seed production, seed germination. They increase habitat diversity at the local level. So just having heterogeneity in the landscape is so important, and fire is a big part of that. You get in burned areas that is very inviting to large herbivores. And of course, it used to be bison that would be attracted to burnt areas. Now it's cattle. And those cattle produce areas of shorter grasses and shorter vegetation that are well liked by sharp-tailed grouse. Yeah, fire is just so important on the landscape. So of course, with this, tallgrass prairie is an endangered ecosystem. There's less than half of 1% remaining in North America. And so with being an endangered ecosystem, we have a lot of rare and protected species in this area. Just plant-wise, there are at least 23 rare or threatened endangered plant species here. And of course, there are also several species of rare or protected insects, birds, reptiles, and amphibians. So that can be a little bit restrictive when it comes to burning as well, when you have protected species. So yeah, of course, there are a lot of people here have large acreages, right? So 160 acres isn't uncommon. Some people have 320, 640. And of course, there's very similar landscape on these properties too. So yeah, without having that many people on the land anymore, I mean, these unburnt fuels are just accumulating. And as I mentioned before, they're increasing the potential for large, uncontrolled, and destructive wildfires. Yeah, so considering this risk and how badly people want to burn and the need for fire, the frustration with not being able to burn comes from a lot of there are a lot of reasons behind that. And basically, there are a lot of barriers for people to burn when it comes to conducting prescribed fire. People, as you might expect, aren't trained in prescribed fire. They don't have the proper equipment, or maybe they have inadequate equipment. There's no liability insurance should something go wrong. Of course, we're always at the mercy of the weather. There are burn bans, or it's too wet. It always seems like it's either too wet or there's a burn ban, or it's just simply too windy. And yeah, just the risk of putting a fire down in heavy fuel loads. Basically, yeah, there's a fear of fire in this area, and people are really hesitant now to put fire back on the land. So in any way.
But it's important to have PBAs and fire exchanges to help people get that education and those resources to get fire back on the landscape and to like remove that stigma.
As I mentioned, like fire was actually quite a common occurrence here in the past. But yeah, there's that risk of escaped wildfires. But also, we had a big scare in 2011 and 2012 when we had 3 wildfires come through our area. The numbers were actually quite scary. There we had 100 firefighters on the scene from 26 fire departments trying to put these blazes out. We had water bombers. It was crazy. We had 7 houses burned down. We had a bridge that was destroyed in the town of Vida. And the different towns were evacuated as well. The school was evacuated. Yeah, it was a big scare. And ever since then, people have been really hesitant and reluctant to put any fire down. I mean, it still happens. People still burn and fires still do get away. Just last year, we had a 3 square mile burn fire happen just south of our main town here. So yeah, people are reluctant to put fire down, and that's where the Prescribed Burn Association comes in. Using prescribed burn instead of just controlled burn, helping people to get organized, get the training, make sure there's the proper equipment, the proper PPE for people to use. It's just so important to do it properly and safely and effectively. There's different ways of using prescribed fire to get different effects, to reach different objectives with it. So we're really encouraging people to consider those reasons as well.
Laura had mentioned the fires in 2011 and 2012. And that's definitely a good reason for people to be concerned about wildfires. The problem with that is now we are roughly 14 to 15 years later, and through that period, large areas of the RM, those fuels have continued to build up, and every year the risk increases of having a substantial wildfire.
From what I understand, one of the main reasons, or the main reason, the SPBA was founded was to address wildfire risk and help reduce wildfire risk. Can you talk even deeper into the key objectives of this burn association, even like beyond land management objectives, and explain like how prescribed fire actually helps achieve those goals?
Our objectives, as Laura previously mentioned, are really tailored to suit what the landowner's objectives are. She mentioned that it could be for wildfire protection, it could be to improve grazing, and it could be to improve habitat. So those are usually the main reasons why most people would consider using prescribed fire. So those are all areas where we can kind of assist with. Our main objective is obviously to help people to get fire on their land, and to tailor how it's done and to help them do it in such a way that they meet what their particular objectives are. So we're hoping through educational opportunities, we can inform and the public that we reach out to, and hopefully they'll get a better understanding of the many benefits that prescribed fire provides, and they kind of opt in and include it as part of their land stewardship goals.
Going into more of your grant, so your funding comes from Intact Financial Corporation, which you briefly mentioned earlier. So you received $116,500 from them. So can you talk more about that collaboration with them and how these funds have helped support your objectives?
We initially got funding from two smaller grants, one from the RM. The RM gave us $1,000 to help with our overhead costs, like getting incorporated and just kind of the day-to-day. They gave us, we were able to get liability insurance through them. We got $3,000 from Nature Manitoba, and we put that towards a bunch of, smaller items like hand tools and that. And we were able to get Pulaski's drip torch, some fire brooms, shovels, that sort of a thing. So those were the first two grants we got before the Intact grant.
The first grants we received were certainly not as significant financially as the Intact grant, but the municipal grant that we received from our RM, as well as the Nature Manitoba grant for protecting native species, or those were kind of what took us from being a very grassroots organization where we had basically just the tools that our members had available to being able to put in place the insurance that we needed, have WCB coverage. The small grant from the RM helped us purchase our first drip torch, which was an important milestone for us. And the funding that we got through Nature Manitoba really covered the majority of the hand tools that we've purchased. So those were two big important things for us, even though financially they don't have as big of an impact as what the Intact funding is. Having said that, we're extremely thankful and for Intact for their financial support. It's been very encouraging not only to have the financial support from them, but also have them believe in what we're doing and supporting our goals to improve the wildlife resiliency in our community and to protect and promote the health of the tallgrass prairie habitat. These funds have allowed us to accelerate and expand the development of our PBA. What we had initially intended to be a very grassroots type concept where neighbors would be loaning equipment that they own to each other and helping them to prepare for burns. It's evolved to allow us to recruit and train larger numbers of people, not only within the RM of Stuartburn, but throughout southeastern Manitoba. And we've been in the process of purchasing significant equipment, such as a UTV, fire water, skids, and all sorts of safety equipment. And when we're done, this will allow us basically to have enough resources in place to outfit a crew of 12 people on any specific burn. So The Intact grant, it's definitely made a significant difference as well in getting people engaged. And it also really accelerates both the quantity and the sizes of the fires that we'll probably be able to burn every year. So that's a big advantage. And then lastly, the media attention that we've received through this process has been very significant in raising awareness, particularly throughout Manitoba, on the benefits of prescribed burning and how it can mitigate the potential for wildfires. Unfortunately, this was a particularly relevant year for Manitoba. Large areas were devastated by widespread wildfires. And in Manitoba, at least, we haven't experienced these severe wildfires in at least the last 30 years. So it's an unfortunate thing that we've experienced as a province this past year, and we're hoping that that actually helps people consider how being proactive with fire may help protect communities in the future.
So I actually am curious from a PBA perspective, what are the benefits of joining a prescribed burn association from your members' perspectives?
We have quite a few benefits for our members. Firstly, we provide an access or a point of access to a larger group, people who are dedicated, trained, and experienced, and people who can either answer their questions or know where to go to find answers for questions that people may have with regard to their planned burns. Again, just to reiterate, thanks to the Intact grant funds, we're able to provide a lot more training and resources which benefit our members. One of our key training documents is the online training course, Introduction to Prescribed Fire in the Grassland Environment, which was developed by CPPFE and offered through USask. So we've got enough funds in our grants to provide this opportunity for up to 20 new members. And in addition to that, we're also covering costs for incident command training, which again is an online course and would be difficult for people to access for free as well. So in addition to the online training, we also provide a lot of hands-on training. We teach people about ignition techniques, use of equipment, preparation and execution of burn plans. And through the process of getting trained and having gone through our training regimen, people will have the chance to burn other members' properties prior to burning on their own. And we feel this provides our members with valuable experience and helps them build confidence before they actually get to the point of laying down fire on their own property. In addition to that, we provide access to various templates and information. These can be used by our members to help understand the process better, as well as develop their own burn plans. After people have developed their plans, it is the intent that our senior SPBA personnel will actually review those plans with them and as well attend their property to check on their site preparations to make sure that we're satisfied that they're in a state where it's safe to burn. And of course, with the Intact grant, we have our own equipment and tools. We'll have a fully equipped storage trailer that can be driven from site to site, and it can be used for our members' burns. We will have a small fee to cover some of the equipment maintenance and the fuel costs, but other than that, there's very little cost to the members for that huge benefit. With the training and the outreach that we have done and some of the partnerships that we've been developing, we're also trying to provide human resources to somebody who's a member and interested in burning. So we can connect them to a group of trained individuals that are ready to be able to help. And it gives them resources that they can contact so they can find enough people to burn their property on the date or in the time frame that is suitable for them to do so. Again, we realize that not everybody is available every day, so we hope to have enough redundancy in our membership that we can provide coverage to people when they need it to the best extent possible, at least. Other benefits we offer are third-party liability coverage for anybody who's a member to protect their interest in case something ever did go wrong. And we also have WCB coverage to protect people if they happen to be injured on a prescribed fire. That way, they do have some employment and coverage in case of an injury. We would like to make note of, though, that we do require landowners to ensure that they have adequate insurance coverage for their property to make sure that it covers any losses they have. And usually they have their own liability insurance as well. So our policy is there to provide additional coverage over what we would expect the landowner have before they start lighting their property. And we do require that they provide that coverage to us, or proof of coverage, before we're ready to loan out our equipment. We also provide support and opportunities for our members to participate in the biannual 5-day prescribed fire training exchange, or TREX events, both the one that has been held in the past in Gardenton. Plus, we have also set aside some funds from our Intact grant to hopefully send 1 to 2 people to Saskatoon this fall to join in, assuming that things go as scheduled for that again this year. We feel strongly, having participated in these events in the past, that they're a great forum to learn about prescribed fire and wildland, and from experts in prescribed fire as well as wildland firefighting. And it's an opportunity to gain valuable knowledge and experience and learn a lot about team building through participating in team exercises with a diverse group of people, and to actually apply what they've learned through their training in working with a larger team and applying that to what are probably some larger fires than they would have the opportunity to participate in otherwise. And then finally, we're also a source of information for residents who are maybe have smaller properties, or they live on one of our town sites, and prescribed burning is not something that really affects them or something that they would use themselves on their land. But we do get involved with fire smarting. So we help to educate and train people on fire smarting, and can provide them with some guidance on things that they can do around their own homes, so that in the event of a wildfire, they're enabled and empowered to take some measures which may not cost a whole lot, but can go a long way to preventing potentially a loss to their property.
I'm curious, how many members are there in the SPBA? Do you know?
As of today, there's 31 members. When we started in January of 2025, last year, roughly 12 months ago, there were 6 members. There was the 5 directors plus our Reeve. So we have 3 classes of memberships. We have individual memberships, memberships for families or groups, and also a category for youth, who we consider anybody under the age of 18. And we wouldn't expect people younger than 12 or 13 to be participating. So of those 31, 25 are individual members, 4 or family or group members, and we are happy to say we have 2 junior members. So it's been nice to have several younger people take an interest and learning how to prepare for being able to apply these skills in the future. Demographically, we're pleased to say that we have roughly equal numbers of male and female participants. The majority of our membership is probably in the 40 to 50-year-old age group. So one of our current goals is to try and increase the number of younger members. So those are all things about our membership. The only other thing I could add is for the majority, most of our members are rural property owners. And the reason they've joined is to try to bring prescribed fire onto their property. And again, as we mentioned before, the reasons may vary from person to person, but we can accommodate that, and we're relying on the landowners to kind of take the lead, set their goals, and we'll help them the best we can to help achieve them. The other interesting thing about our membership is that roughly half of our members aren't residents of the RM of Stuartburn. We've had a lot of interest from surrounding RMs throughout southern Manitoba, specifically southeast Manitoba, but we do have members as far away as the Interlake region. So it's exciting to see that interest extending beyond our borders.
As Dan mentioned, like most of our members are from, our landowners. They have acreages, they have large areas they might want to burn. We also have a couple members that live in town, and they just are looking forward to helping their neighbors out. They also like setting fires, but they just want to be involved and help the community. I mean, helping the rural landowners. As I said earlier, with those big fires that came through our areas, the towns were evacuated. So it is in town members or town residents' best interests, really, to help out with the association and help their rural neighbors out. So yeah, it's great to see that there are people who are just joining just to help others out. One other thing I wanted to mention, before we got the Intact grant has allowed us to offer free training to our members for up to 20 people. But before we had the grant, the Canadian Prairies Prescribed Fire Exchange actually gave us a group rate for taking the Intro to Prescribed Fire in the Grassland Environment course. So basically what we did is we got interested people together. We said, okay, who wants to take this course? And however many people we can get to take this course, we're going to divide the cost of the course by that many people. So we had, I believe it was 15 people take the course. And so they paid $11 to take the course, which was awesome for them because most of them wouldn't have paid $150 to take the course. We had one member say, well, I'm volunteering for an organization and you want me to pay $150? Well, that doesn't seem right. So we're like, okay, well, how can we work around this? So at the time, Dinyar was heading up the CPPFE. So we talked to him and he said, okay, there's a few things we can do to help you out. And I can't remember what all of the options were, but this one seemed to fit us the best, that we could just, basically register for the course once and then divide the cost, let everyone take the same course. with the same password basically, and yeah, take the course. It made it interesting, I think, when they were, going through the modules and having all other people doing the quizzes and that, whatever. But yeah, it worked out really well. Like, people were really excited. I was wondering how many people would, sign up and then just not do it and say, well, it was only $11, I'm not losing anything. But all but one, was it one, Dan? All but one actually finished like and took the exam.
I
So,
think there
and the one
was
who
two
didn't,
people.
okay, so two people didn't take the exam. One of them, his wife did. So, you know, he was there doing the course, he just didn't take the exam. So, yeah, that worked out really well. I think it was really successful.
Yeah,
And
for
we were really
sure.
thankful to CPPFE for allowing us to do that. That really got us off to a good start. To just even just to see what the interest was in the community to do a course. Like, some people want to do, put fire down, but are they dedicated enough that they're going to take a 16-hour course? Well, we found out they are, so it was good to see.
Yeah, for sure. It's great that we helped make this prescribed fire training more accessible for your members. So that's really nice to hear. How much community support in general, even beyond the organization, has there been for prescribed fire before it launched? I know we touched on this a bit earlier with like the stigma behind fire. And since the organization started, have you seen any growth or changes?
I guess the first place to start is that a lot of people in our community, as is probably common in most places, really don't know the difference between a controlled burn and a prescribed burn. A big part of what we're trying to do is to change this culture that's developed within the community and make prescribed fire uh, more common, more comfortable for people, and just kind of a part of living in this area rather than something to be afraid of. With regard to what we've been doing and any changes we've been seeing, we did have a fairly good reception at the first meeting that Laura and Bert put on at our RM office in March of 2024. I was also at that meeting, and that's where I became interested initially. I'd say at this point, most of our residents that we do speak with, they seem to be aware of our PBA, but perhaps they're not fully understanding what our mandate is. We have had received communications from several people in our community who have the expectation that we're going to burn their land for them. Um, so that's not our intent or our mandate. While we may do this in special circumstances, if a landowner is not physically capable of participating, as an example, an old retired widow or widower, unless we have special circumstances like that where we know they don't have the abilities to actually participate, our intent is that the landowner or a capable member of their family will join, get trained, and participate by helping their other neighbors burn their land as well. And we had mentioned that some PBAs in the US were requiring a prerequisite of 2 burns prior to burning on your own property. And we think that's an excellent way to do things. And we are really planning to follow that type of philosophy as well, and making sure that people are invested in it and they're actually helping other people, gaining experience through the process, and then being able to burn their land. We've also been really intentional on informing and trying to educate people on the differences between controlled burns and prescribed burns, really relating it to a medical prescription and reinforcing the amount of planning and resources that go into conducting a prescribed burn. It's not something where you look outside your window and decide, oh, the wind looks good. Let's grab a shovel and a match and a pail of water and let's go. We want to show that things are being done very thoughtfully, and unless everything falls into place with the prescription, the burn doesn't get done. It's getting people to understand that even though they may have burned in the past and they were doing a controlled burn, simply having the intention and not necessarily the adequate preparation, help, equipment, and water is maybe not the safest way to be doing it, even though they may have got away with it in the past. We also think that some residents are kind of waiting on the sidelines right now to see how our first few fires go before they're more comfortable with what we're doing and hopefully getting on and supporting our endeavors. At this point, because we're still in the process of training and getting our resources in place, we haven't had the opportunity to do any prescribed burns yet. But our hope and our plan is that in the spring's burn window, we're going to be able to perform some of those first burns and show people that we can do this effectively and safely, and really show them that we've accomplished what we've told them that we're planning to do. And again, in the past, earlier in our discussion, we mentioned that we've had significant growth, interest, where we've gone from 6 members up to 31. So that's quite significant. And most of that has been, growth has been since we've been awarded the INTAC grant. So that's really helped us push forward with gaining interest in what we're doing.
Yeah, as Dan said, we're hoping to do some burning, at least our first burns this spring. And we do actually have 2 members that have burn units set up to get people started. Dan's got a couple pieces on his place. He's got a nice open area that he can split up into smaller burn units, so we can have little practice units, which is great. I've got some land here that his land is a little more has sparser vegetation. It's a lot safer burn with very square, obvious fire lines. Mine, there's a lot thicker vegetation. There's a lot of bush. You can't see one fire crew to the next. You can't see across the burn unit, so there's obstruction. So it's a lot more of a challenge. I think it's still only 5 or 6 acres, I believe, but a great unit to be practicing on. So yeah, we do have a couple burn units set up, ready to go, and yeah, really looking forward to conducive conditions.
I'm curious about more about partnerships with other organizations. How exactly do you work with other organizations, including the RM and local governments, fire departments, perhaps other organizations? How does partnership work in regards to the PBA?
Well, we've already discussed some of the tremendous assistance that CPPFE has given us, and we certainly appreciate that. Not only with direct help to us, but we're also very grateful for CPPFE being a key partner in the Manitoba Aspen Parkland Tallgrass Prairie Treks that happened each spring. So having that training opportunity available to our members within their local communities or near their local communities, having gone through it myself last spring, I can say firsthand that the training experience and the networking opportunities are fantastic. Unfortunately, it wasn't possible to burn because there was a fire ban last May when the event was going on. But even being able to go through the exercises and do a mock burn. We've actually found that through our 5 members that participated, we all found that a lot of value, and we've actually been incorporating that into our own training regimens because we're simply not at the point right now where up until the spring we've been able to have the resources to work with live fire. So with regard to our RM, the council and staff have been very supportive through the process, as Laura originally mentioned. Our Reeve, Michelle Goronsky, in particular, she's been a huge supporter of ours, and she always seems to go above and beyond in trying to help us in any way she can. I'd already mentioned the small community grant that we got early last year, which allowed us to kind of get established and get our first drip torch. So that really helped set us up for a really strong year of development.
Yeah, our Reeve has been, like Dan said, she's gone above and beyond. She's done a lot of, helped us a lot with media, even getting free food for some of our big launch event that we had. Yeah, she's really done a lot of connecting, talking to other mayors and councilors at the Association of Manitoba Municipality meetings. And yeah, she's helped us out a lot.
Yeah, and in addition to that, the RM was actually applied on our behalf for the Intact Climate Resiliency Grant that we received. Again, the grant was intended towards municipalities more specifically. So we developed the proposal and completed it, but they're the ones that actually submitted it, and they are actually the formal recipients of those funds. So since we received it, they've been acting as a go-between between us and Intact for purposes of communication. So there's been a lot of time and effort put in by the municipal staff, which we certainly appreciate. And again, they're giving us the ability to use the funds and direct the funds as we've been said that we're going to do, but they're giving us kind of free rein to work with the funds and make our own decisions. So it's been nice not to have anything kind of holding us back. And we've tried to reciprocate as best as we could. The RM last fall applied for a grant to develop 2 new community water wells in the RM. So they asked us to provide a letter of support for that, which Laura drafted up. Just found out yesterday that they were successful. So it's nice to have community wells added on both the east and west edges of our RM, which will certainly help out not just individual landowners, but it's a huge asset for firefighting if that water sources are not needed and they don't have to drive 20 minutes to get water to fill up a pumper truck. So that's been something pretty exciting. We also participated in some community strategic planning sessions or meetings that our input put out this fall. So it gave us an opportunity to hopefully contribute some extra things back to the community as far as looking ahead and looking how our community can develop and grow in a sustainable way in the future. Outside of the RM, we've also received a lot of help and assistance from a number of different places. Again, Laura had mentioned previously about the Native Habitat Grant from Nature Manitoba. That took us from being an incorporated organization and actually providing us with some of the hands-on tools that we needed. And in addition to that, they even provide a few fire flappers that they had in their possession, which hadn't been used by anyone there for a few years. So it was nice to have that as well. Other organizations or individuals we've been doing outreach with. We have met with our RM volunteer fire chief this past summer. We wanted to make sure that before we move things forward too quickly, that he was aware of and hopefully comfortable with our plans and the measures that we're planning to have in place to control our prescribed fires. Luckily, since NCC has been successfully burning in our RM for many years, he already had a good understanding of how they operate. And we tried to communicate to him that we're trying to model the NCC systems and operations in how we operate our Prescribed Burn Association. As Laura had alluded to a little while ago, when we had our official launch last September, thanks to Michelle's work with the AMM and reaching out to various other municipalities. We had a mix of elected representatives and or fire chiefs from about 10 other Manitoba municipalities that attended that event. It was nice to see that they're showing interest in what we were doing. We got some very relevant questions, especially from some of the fire chiefs who were concerned about liability issues. But in the end, the majority of people, the impression we had is that they're supportive of our plans and our ability to execute them. So we hope our efforts in developing our PBA will help spark interest in other communities starting up and initiating PBAs in other areas throughout the prairies. Last February, we also had the opportunity to meet with 2 Manitoba Wildfire Service regional leaders. They were interested in meeting to see what we're doing. Their particular interest was the opportunity to participate in some of our burns in the future. Specifically, they want to try to provide some additional training opportunities to their personnel. These would be wildfire fighting personnel. They don't get involved in prescribed fires, so having the opportunity to actually be able to light fires and see how fire reacts, other than doing simple, well, not simple, but doing back burns, which is typically their experience with lighting fires. It hopefully would give them an opportunity to expand their training as well. In addition to that, at our launch event in September, we did receive regrets from the Manitoba Minister of Municipal and Northern Relations, the Honorable Ian Bushy. But in his regrets, he did extend an invitation for us to meet with him and possibly some other provincial ministers at the Manitoba Legislature. So that's something we're still working through Michelle to try and schedule something that would work for us as well as Minister Bushy. We look forward to that, and we think it'll be a great opportunity to raise awareness for what we're doing. One of the other things that we've had happen over the past year, once we received our intact funding, and before we were actually in a position where we could publicly announce it, we were sending out requests for pricing on the various tools, and especially the larger equipment we need, because it had larger lead times and would take longer to get. So through that process, I had reached out to a company called Seahawk in Morden, Manitoba, who deals with various types of fire safety equipment. And with their quote, they responded and told us that Seahawk, along with one of their partners, Acres Emergency Vehicles, would be willing to donate us a 1,500-gallon portable water tank. And that was one of the things that had been on our wish list that I had asked for pricing on. So that was a tremendous gift that freed up significant funds that we can now reinvest in additional equipment and training for our members. So we're very, very thankful for that significant donation, and we've already made good use of the tank several times during our training events last fall. And finally, we have to express our gratefulness for the opportunity to assist NCC Manitoba with several prescribed burns they did this past fall, specifically on the properties in the RM of Stuartburn, and as well as their overall support for our endeavors. Having participated and helped them out last fall, it was amazing to be able to work side by side with their personnel, learn from their well-established prescribed fire culture and operations, and we certainly hope to have ongoing opportunities to collaborate with them. So we've had a lot of help from a lot of people and a lot of organizations over the last year, and all of them have contributed to our development and where we've got to at this stage. We can't thank them enough for all their help. And we certainly look forward to trying to build stronger relationships and to build relationships with new partners as time progresses.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something about our partnership with Nature Conservancy. This is really like a kind of a first for them and for us. It's kind of precedent setting to be able to work side by side with them. There were, before there were policies that, we don't allow anyone to burn with us that's outside of our organization, basically. And so we could look as observers at what they're doing. We could stand on the road and watch what they were doing, but not nearly as good as actually burning with them. So yeah, they did a bunch of work in the background and changed some policies, got some, got the okay from the head office basically to say, hey, yeah, we're going to partner with the SPBA and we can burn together. And our hopes are that in the future, if a landowner has land adjacent to the preserve, that we could maybe include that land in the burn unit with the Nature Conservancy land and burn it all. And yeah, that's, like I said, that's kind of precedent setting, and we're really looking forward to working more with Nature Conservancy on that. But as for our future goals, we're going to continue training and outfitting our members and just preparing our equipment so we're ready to conduct fires. Our first fires this spring, we're really excited about that. And just to continue building the capacity we have for future burns, building up our membership, getting people trained. Yeah, just building capacity, basically, developing more partnerships and relationships with other organizations and other municipalities, hopefully other SPBAs too. We're going to continue working on the objectives we set out in our Intact grant proposal, and that will be continuing on into 2027 till June 2027. Yeah, we're really excited about our ability to participate in the Trex events. Just as private landowners, that wouldn't be possible. But because of the SPBA, our landowners can now participate in Trex because they are members of the SPBA. So that is a huge step forward. Great opportunity for landowners to take in. And otherwise, we just really want to be encouraging to landowners. We want to be mentors to landowners and just continue to be a resource that people can come to when they want to put fire on their land, helping them to develop a burn plan, helping them to figure out, how to map out their land, or what are the protocols? What are the protocols for doing a fire safely? We really want to engage with the younger community, our younger members of our community to get involved as well. We really need to think down the line with who's going to take over for us when when we're a little, too old and decrepit to be burning out there, right? We need new members to step up. And so we're do school presentations and that at the local schools, and hopefully we'll foster an interest in them, to be better land stewards, I guess you would say, take some initiative that way. Um, and yeah, of course, we're going to continue with our public outreach events and any opportunities we have to help educate the public on prescribed burning. Like I said, what are the benefits of prescribed burns versus controlled burns or wildfires?
So for other communities, because as we know, Stuartburn is one of the only organizations of this kind that we have, what advice would you give to other communities that might want to start their own PBA here in Canada or in the prairies?
Over the past 2 years, after getting a SPBA started up, we've discovered that it's definitely a lot of work, especially to be the first PBA in Manitoba. But we've had a lot of help. We have a strong team of directors, and as Dan mentioned before, with a diverse background, but complementary backgrounds and skill sets. So this has really helped us with achieving our goals. We really encourage people to just get together with like-minded individuals who are interested in getting more fire on the land. A lot of the times this just means talking to your neighbors, right? Seeing who's willing to band together and support these efforts. It's important to get that core group, right? The core group is really key to getting this up and going. And networking is so important too. Establishing those partnerships with other organizations to help build capacity, to educate, train, and expand the capabilities, right? For prescribed fire. So we've learned so much from our participation in the Trex events, and how much, just working with different groups, how much that can accomplish. We couldn't do it without all the partnerships we've had. We would still be in the beginning stages if we weren't working together with, the RM, with Nature Conservancy, with CPPFE. It was really, really important. Yeah, just having those online resources from the PBAs in the States, that was really helpful as well. Obviously, we have to tweak them to, according to what we're planning to do, but getting ideas from them was just awesome. We can't say enough about them. Having that handbook that they were putting together, that's great to have on hand, something we can hand out to our members if they are, doing a prescribed burn or planning one. Having templates for burn plans, having templates for those. There's lots of different examples of burn plan templates. But for what we're doing, we're probably going to have something that's more like 5 or 7 pages, including maps and that. So, just kind of adapting other resources to fit our needs is just, it's super important and has been really helpful. Of course, funding has been super important too. Like I don't know if we mentioned before, our whole idea when we started this was just to get neighbors together and help each other out. Like, let's pool our resources. So, maybe you've got an ATV, you've got a brush mower, somebody else has some walkie-talkies, everyone's got something that they can contribute towards a fire. And that's how we're going to make this work. But at one of our workshops, we found out that no, people aren't always willing to let someone else use their equipment, right? So, and sometimes people just don't have. One instance, well, hey, one of our ATVs is down. Hey, surely someone else has an ATV we can borrow for this workshop, for this training workshop. And so we asked around, and oh, mine's broken too. Mine won't start. Mine's got this problem. No, I don't want someone else using my ATV. So that's when we realized, wow, how important it is to have communal equipment to use. I mean, if you have a group where everyone knows each other, it might be one thing. People would be more willing to let people use their stuff. But when you've got a group that potentially people don't know each other, that could be an issue.
Again, for for groups, even whether they start out as more grassroots, like our original intention. And if they stay that way, that's great. We still think that's a huge benefit to the communities to have very simple grassroots ones. But if people are wanting to kind of move beyond that to what we're doing now, like Laura said, funding becomes critical. We have between the various grants, there's about $120,000 now, which has gone primarily towards setting us up with the equipment we need. And we couldn't do that fundraising locally. It just would never happen. So finding ways, getting people involved who have some experience with grant writing is certainly helpful. I don't think any of us necessarily had a lot of that in the past, but we managed to convince Intact that what we were planning would have very tangible benefits towards wildfire safety in particular. So through the process, through applying for federal government grants, to an insurance company, and again, some of the smaller ones, which were certainly very important to us. It appears that a lot of the larger insurance companies are taking an interest in supporting climate resilience in general, whether it's from too much water or from wildfires. The insurers realize that anything that can mitigate insurable losses to them, their investment in preventing them and supporting groups that prevent them will pay off in dividends to them. So anybody who's looking for funding, there are a number of insurance companies out there that offer grant programs on usually a biannual basis to be able to assist with these types of endeavors. The one thing we always try to keep top of mind is with our operations, with prescribed fire, there are risks involved. And we have a responsibility to protect the safety not only of the people that are participating in them, but also those that could be affected by them, neighbors, and anybody else who might be affected if something went wrong. So we spent a lot of time over the past year, not only developing general policies, but looking into some of our legal requirements. So what do we need to do to make sure that we're doing our due diligence? So we do have liability insurance coverage. We do have workers' compensation. And we have to follow employer standards, even though we're a volunteer organization. So we need to make sure that people have the training they need, that they have personal protective equipment that's appropriate for the tasks in the environment. Even though we're a volunteer association, there's a lot of responsibilities there, and we are incorporated. So as directors specifically, there's certainly a lot of responsibilities there, and we're trying to take those very seriously to make sure that things go well with what we're doing.
And finally, how can people get involved with the Stuartburn Prescribed Burn Association?
Well, you know what? Our membership is actually open to anyone. You could be a landowner here in the RM, or you could be across the world. It doesn't matter. Anyone can be a member and take part in our training exercises, anything like that. Anyone who's interested in learning more, they can follow us on Facebook or Instagram, stay informed about our upcoming activities, and please share our posts. Anyone who is on our Facebook or Instagram pages, that would be great. Or you can just reach out directly to us. We have an email, stuartburnpba@gmail.com. You can also give me a shout, 204-425-3520. there's more information you can find on the RM of Stuartburn website as well. So lots of ways we can get in touch with us. Yeah, we're always looking for more volunteers to help us out, help carry the load of administration, of course, not always everyone's favorite, but and yeah, just in general, supporting our activities. Really appreciate that.
And another question I have before we wrap things up is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, personally, I'd just like to thank you, Kat, for the opportunity to speak with you today and to hopefully do something to help try and educate, encourage, and hopefully have people get more engaged with prescribed burning, as well as hopefully make them feel enabled to get started on perhaps reaching out and talking to their neighbors and finding a group where they could potentially replicate what we're doing here. Again, we're very appreciative of the help that we've had along the way, and we are certainly happy to pass that on to others. So we do have templates that we can provide to other organizations that are getting set up. If that's something that interests them, they can take that and tailor that to their own needs. And we're here to answer questions. We certainly haven't been perfect along the way. We've made lots of mistakes. So if we can help somebody else avoid some of the pitfalls that we've encountered, we'd be more than happy to speak with people and give them the benefit of our experience.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Dan and Laura, for being on the podcast today and for sharing so much about the SPBA. I've learned so much about what you guys do, and I really commend you for the work that you do. It's really special, and I'm excited to see how it grows in the future. We're just getting started, so this is very exciting and good for you two and to the rest of the members of the SPBA for pulling this off. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to Prairie Fire Lines on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow the Canadian Prairie's Prescribed Fire Exchange on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, or visit our website at grasslandfire.ca to stay updated on all things prescribed fire in the prairies. A huge thank you goes out to the Weston's Prairie Grassland Initiative for making this project possible, and to all of you for listening. Until next time, stay curious about the power of prescribed fire. This is Prairie Fire Lines, where we keep the conversation burning. And I'm your host, Kat Zenz, signing off.